Imagine two people. Both owe exactly $10,000 in debt. Both have the same income. Both are equally motivated to become debt-free. 1 year later, one of them has paid off almost half of it. The other one has quit completely and gone back to using credit cards. Same amount of debt, same starting point. Completely different outcome. So what happened? It wasn't luck. It wasn't income. It wasn't even discipline in the way most people think about discipline. It was the method they used to pay off debt. And here's the uncomfortable part. The method that sounds smarter on paper is actually the one that makes most people quit. Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why almost everyone approaches debt payoff completely backwards, and what you should actually do instead. Let's start with the belief almost everyone has about paying off debt. If you've ever researched how to get out of debt, you've probably heard some version of this advice. Pay off your highest interest debt first. It's the mathematically smartest option because it saves you the most money over time, and on paper that's true. If you have a credit card charging 24% interest and a car loan charging 6%, throwing extra money at the 24% debt first will save you more money overall. This method even has a name. It's called the debt avalanche. It makes sense. It sounds responsible. It feels like the adult, financially literate thing to do, so naturally most people try it. But here's the twist. Most people who start with this method don't finish. They lose motivation within a few months and either slow down or stop paying extra altogether. Why would the mathematically superior method fail so often? To understand this, we need to talk about something more powerful than math. We need to talk about psychology. Let's go back to our two people from the beginning. We'll call them Alex and Jordan. Alex has 3 debts: a credit card with a high interest rate and a large balance, a personal loan with a medium interest rate and a medium balance, and a small store card with a low interest rate and a tiny balance. Alex does the research, learns about the Avalanche method, and decides to attack the high-interest credit card first, since that's the smartest move mathematically. Jordan has a similar situation. 3 debts, different sizes, different interest rates. But Jordan does something different. Jordan ignores the interest rates completely and instead pays off the smallest debt first, regardless of how much interest it's charging. 3 months in, Alex is still chipping away at that one huge credit card balance. The number barely seems to move. Every payment feels like throwing a bucket of water on a bonfire. There's no visible progress, no sense of momentum. Just a large number that shrinks painfully slowly. Jordan, meanwhile, pays off that tiny store card within the first month. It's gone, completely erased. And something happens in Jordan's brain that doesn't happen in Alex's. Jordan feels proof. Proof that debt payoff is actually possible. Proof that discipline works. Proof that the plan is working. This feeling has a name in psychology. It's often referred to as a quick win, and quick wins are incredibly powerful because they create what's called a self-efficacy loop. Self-efficacy simply means your belief in your own ability to succeed at something. When you experience a small win, your brain releases a sense of accomplishment. That feeling makes you want to repeat the behavior that created it. So Jordan takes the money that used to go toward the store card and rolls it into the next smallest debt. That one disappears faster than expected, too, because now Jordan has extra momentum behind it. This is called the debt snowball. Just like a snowball rolling downhill, it starts small, but it picks up size and speed as it goes. Alex, on the other hand, is still staring at that one giant balance with no end in sight. Weeks turn into months. The excitement fades. Life happens. An unexpected expense pops up. And slowly, the extra payments stop. Alex hasn't necessarily given up on becoming debt-free. Alex has just lost the emotional fuel required to keep going. This is the part almost nobody talks about. Personal finance is often taught like it's a math problem. But for most people, it isn't. It's a psychology problem wearing a math costume. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine you're trying to build a habit of going to the gym. Would you rather start by attempting a 2-hour intense workout that leaves you sore and exhausted, or a 15-minute workout that feels easy and leaves you wanting more? Most people who try to do too much too fast burn out. Most people who start small and build momentum stick with it long term. Debt payoff works the exact same way. The debt avalanche method is like trying to run a marathon on day one. It might be the fastest theoretical route to the finish line, but if you don't have the emotional endurance to sustain it, you'll never actually reach the finish line at all. The debt snowball method is like starting with a short, easy jog. It's not the fastest route on paper, but it builds the habit, the confidence, and the consistency needed to actually finish the race. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Let's talk numbers for a second, because this is where most people get confused. Yes, mathematically, the avalanche method usually saves you more money in interest. But here's the key insight most people miss. A perfect plan you abandon after 3 months is worth far less than an imperfect plan you actually finish. Let's say the avalanche method could save Alex an extra $300 in interest over 2 years if followed perfectly. Sounds great, right? Except Alex quit after 4 months. So that theoretical $300 savings never actually happened. In fact, Alex ends up paying more in interest overall, simply because the debt sat there longer without extra payments. Jordan, on the other hand, might pay a little more in raw interest by ignoring the interest rates. But because Jordan actually finished the plan, all of that debt disappeared within 18 months. A slightly less efficient plan that you finish will always beat a highly efficient plan that you quit. This is one of the most important truths in personal finance. And almost nobody says it clearly. Behavior beats math, not because math doesn't matter, but because math only works if you stick around long enough to let it work. So why do 99% of people choose the wrong method? Because most advice online focuses on optimizing numbers instead of optimizing behavior. It's easy to calculate interest rates. It's much harder to calculate willpower, motivation, and emotional endurance. So people default to whatever sounds the smartest, not whatever actually works for real human psychology. This mistake doesn't just apply to debt. It applies to almost every area of personal finance. Think about investing. The theoretically perfect strategy might involve timing the market perfectly, picking the best individual stocks, and reacting instantly to every economic shift. But almost nobody can actually execute that with discipline over decades. Meanwhile, a boring, simple, consistent strategy, like automatically investing a set amount every single month into a diversified fund, often outperforms in real life. Not because it's mathematically superior, but because ordinary people can actually stick with it. The lesson is always the same. The best financial strategy isn't the one that looks the smartest on a spreadsheet. It's the one you can realistically follow for years without giving up. So what should you actually do if you're in debt right now? Here's the practical takeaway. First, understand your own psychology. Are you someone who needs quick emotional wins to stay motivated? If so, the debt snowball. Paying off your smallest debt first might serve you better, even if it costs a little more in interest. Are you someone who's naturally patient, who doesn't need instant validation, and who stays consistent through slow progress? If that's genuinely you, the avalanche method, tackling the highest interest debt first, could save you real money. There's also a middle path some people use, sometimes called a hybrid approach, where you knock out 1 or 2 small debts first for a quick motivational boost, and then switch to attacking the highest interest debt afterward. This blends psychological momentum with mathematical efficiency. The point isn't that one method is objectively right for everyone. The point is that most people choose a method based on what sounds smart instead of what fits how they actually think and feel about money. That's the real mistake 99% of people make. Not choosing the wrong math, choosing a plan that ignores their own psychology. Because here's the truth about money that most people never learn. Personal finance is only 10% about numbers. It's 90% about behavior. The formulas are simple. Anyone can learn them in a few minutes. But sustaining a behavior for months or years, especially when progress feels slow, requires something formulas can't give you. It requires momentum, motivation, and a plan that works with your mind instead of against it. So the next time you're choosing how to tackle debt, or honestly, any financial goal, don't just ask yourself what's mathematically optimal. Ask yourself, what version of this plan will I actually stick with when motivation fades and life gets messy? Because the smartest financial plan in the world means nothing if you never make it to the finish line. And sometimes, the slower path that you actually finish will always beat the faster path you eventually abandon.